Hitomi lay on her bed, letting her alarm ring. Her eyes were barely open, and her mouth in a straight line. She had one single thought on her mind: school. It wasn't that she didn't like school, it's that she didn't like getting up early. She loved to sleep, and to sleep in, but she knew she shouldn't be late for her first day. She groaned quietly and rolled over, hitting the dismiss option on her phone. Her bare feet hit the cold ground and she shivered, looking around. "Hitomi, it's time to get up," her mother called from down the hall. She smiled a bit and stood, looking for her uniform. "I know I put it somewhere." She dug through her dirty clothes basket, then her closet. "Aha, found it." She grinned triumphantly. "I knew I had it." She could hear her mother making breakfast downstairs and walked to the bathroom. She showered quickly and combed out her short brown hair. "Breakfast's ready!" her mother called, and she hurried downstairs, still pulling on her shirt. "Yay! Food!" She sat down and swung her legs, seeing as she wasn't tall enough for her feet to reach the ground. Her mother put a plate in front of her and sat down across from Hitomi. "I wonder how Yuuki is." "I'm not sure. She hasn't texted me yet. Her school may start later than mine." Her mother nodded with a small smile on her face. "I hope she comes down to see us soon." "I hope so too." They started eating, chatting casually to each other. Soon, Hitomi was walking out the door, her bag slung carelessly over her shoulder. "Bye, Mom." She walked down the sidewalk, humming quietly to herself. She looked around, hoping she would see someone she could talk to so she could get to know someone for the first day. She saw a man that looked about her age, wearing the Seirin uniform. "Hey!" she called out to him, running across the street quickly. He looked over at her. "Huh. You're going to Seirin? Is it your first year?" "Yeah, I just came from America." "Cool. It's mine too." She smiled up at him, causing his cheeks to tint pink. "I don't want to walk alone though, so I decided to come bug you. I'm Usagi Hitomi, by the way." She nodded, introducing herself. "Kagami Taiga," he said, not saying anything against her walking with him. "I wonder what clubs there are. I hope there's basketball," she said more to herself than him. "You play basketball?" "Yeah, I'm nothing special though, I just really enjoy playing. I wonder if they'd let a girl be on the team." "It probably depends. We'd have to get the principal's permission." She nodded. They walked up to the school, seeing a large crowd of people inside. "Are you joining basketball too?" He nodded. "Mind if I follow you?" she said timidly. She was never a person to be in huge crowds. It scared her. "Go ahead." She smiled gratefully and followed him, holding onto his sleeve tightly. They came across a cat-faced boy who was handing out basketball flyers, and Kagami picked him up and walked off. Hitomi stared after him in amazement before hurrying to catch up with him. "Dude." He half smiled at her before setting the boy down on the desk of the basketball stand. She looked around while he talked to the managers. She learned that the girl's name was Riko, and she was the coach. The boy was Hyuga. She thought she saw a familiar blue head of hair, but brushed it off as her imagination. "I'll see you later, Usagi-san." She looked up at him in surprise, not realizing he finished the conversation. "All right, bye, Kagami-san." She looked at the two sitting on the table opposite of her. "Hello. I wanted to know if it were possible for a girl to join the team." She smiled, sitting down and putting her hands in her lap. "You can sign up, but we'll have to ask the principal before you can play in games." "All right, I'm okay with that." She filled out the paper and stood up. "I'll come to practice anyway," she said cheerfully, pushing the chair in and standing up. "I'll ask the principal later today," Riko said, nodding at her. Hyuga just stared at her, wondering why she was so cheerful even with the chance she that might not be able to play. Hitomi just waved and walked through the crowd, clutching the strap of her purple bag. Her soft brown eyes scanned the crowd, looking for Kagami. She frowned when she couldn't find him. "Well, this sucks," she said quietly, attempting to push through the crowd. She finally made it to the school, but there was still about 30 minutes before homeroom actually started. Her phone chimed in her bag, and she dug for it. It was from Yuuki. "Hey, Hitomi, how's it going?" She smiled at her best friend's text as she walked. "It's going okay. I'm already at school, so I won't be able to text much. Sorry." Yuuki wasn't her biological sister, but she was close enough. The two had been friends since they were children, and Yuuki wasn't really much older than she was. Yuuki was born in August, and Hitomi in December. Hitomi kept playing on her phone, eyes down on it as she walked. She bumped into someone, and her phone fell out of her hand and onto the floor, the battery falling out of the back. "Oh, I'm so sorry." She looked up, not seeing anyone. She blinked a few times and looked around. Here's your phone." "Oh, when did you get there?" She put a hand over her heart, taking a deep breath. "But, thank you." She took her phone back from him. "I'm Usagi, unless—" And he was gone. She frowned, looking around for the blue-haired boy. "Well then—" She walked to her homeroom class and sat near the window, a small frown still on her face. She couldn't dwell on the subject too long because the teacher walked in, signaling the beginning of class. Meanwhile, Yuuki yawned as she got out of bed, barely glancing at her phone when it vibrated. She ran her hands through her long brown hair, stretching. She mumbled words to herself as she showered and got dressed, brushing out her hair and putting it in a ponytail. She grabbed her bag and wallet, walking out the door. She walked down the sidewalk. There was barely anyone out at this time of morning, just students wandering around getting breakfast. She walked into a fast food restaurant and ordered a simple breakfast, sitting at a table by the window. She pulled out her phone and looked at the text message, smiling softly at the thought of Hitomi. Yeah, she missed her, but being separated for a little while might do them some good. She replied back quickly, looking up when a loud teen walked in the door. "Oi, Momoi-san, it's way too early to be up," the blue-haired man complained, yawning loudly. "Aomine-kun, you need to start getting up earlier. I might stop taking notes for you if you don't," the pink-haired girl said in reply, an annoyed expression on her face. Yuuki rolled her eyes. "I agree with him. It's way too early to be up right now. But I was hungry." She yawned and finished her food, leaning back in her chair. Might as well go to the basketball court. She got up, putting her phone in her uniform jacket pocket. She walked by her small apartment and grabbed her pink basketball. She walked to the court by her school, checking the time before taking a few shots. Her mood gradually got better the more she practiced, and soon she was smiling widely, ready to take on the day. The end.